Yes, there have been corrupt empires. Yes, they manipulate. Yes, there are secret societies. Yes, there have been oligarchies throughout history. And yes, today in 2002, there is a tyrannical organization calling itself the New World Order.
Within 2 generations, the New World Order will seem perfectly natural. Dissenting wouldn't even make sense. By then, children aren't born to parents. Everyone is sterilized at birth. The Shadow Masters keep tight control on population growth. Children are created by DNA genetically optimized for desirable qualities like submissiveness, agreeability, and lack of curiosity. They are incubated, educated, and assigned a role in society. When they're no longer useful, they're euthanized. This will seem humane. Letting someone live for years sick and old will seem cruel. And that's the cycle. The architects of the New World Order have finally achieved the utopia they've always wanted. Now, Serge Monast has attracted plenty of critics and skeptics. Some people call him a kook. Other people call him a prophet. Unfortunately, we won't know who's right until it's too late.
So it could be 1727 now?
It just could be. What if nearly 300 years of history never happened? Stay with me. In 1991, a German historian named Hermann Illig proposed something that shakes the very foundation of time itself, the phantom time hypothesis. His claim? The years 614 to 911 AD were completely fabricated. They don't exist. They were inserted into history, and we've been living in a false timeline ever since. Now, who would do this, and why? Enter Holy Roman Emperor Otto III, Pope Sylvester II, and Byzantine Emperor Constantine VII. 3 powerful figures who supposedly conspired to alter historical records and manipulate the calendar. Why? Because Otto III wanted to rule in the symbolic year 1000 AD, a number that carries power, prophecy, and legitimacy. But instead of waiting, they fast-forwarded history itself. Now, think about this. We have written records from this missing period, sure. But where are the artifacts, the architecture, the undeniable physical proof? You'd expect 297 years to leave more behind, yet it's eerily scarce. And if this sounds impossible, just remember, Tartaria was erased from history. If they can erase entire civilizations, why not rewrite time itself?
Months are not a proper unit of time, are they? A month is either 28, 29, 30 or 31 days long. In common parlance, we talk about a month being 4 weeks long, but they're not. Only February is exactly 4 weeks long, and even then, that's only true 3/4 of the time. 94% of months are longer than a month. We know exactly how many seconds in a minute, how many minutes in an hour, hours in a day, and days in a week. We even know exactly how many months in a year. But the months themselves are a mystery. They chop and change. Let me give you an example. Okay? Yeah. How many months are there in a year? 12. Exactly. How many weeks are there in a year? 52. Good. However, 12 months, well, 12 times 4 is 48. And 52 minus 4 is 48. Doesn't take a genius to work out we've got 4 extra weeks. And what do 4 weeks make? A month. There are actually 13 months in a year. This is absolutely outrageous, and I have a solution. I have reformed the calendar. Let me be clear, it is not just the lack of rigour that I have issue with. I have another issue with months, a linguistic one. These are the months as we know them today. Take a look at the word October. Oct. Think of all the other words you know beginning with oct. Octopus, octagon, octogenarian. Think of all the words you know beginning with dec. Decade, decimal, decathlon. You don't have to be the sharpest linguist out there to realise that sept, oct, nov, dec represents 7, 8, 9, 10. And yet we've put them in positions 9, 10, 11, 12. Today, so what we're going to do, we're going to correct this system. The first thing we're going to do is sort out the numbering, obviously. So let's call that 7, 8, 9, 10, because they are called 7, 8, 9, 10. That's what they are. So if they're going to be 7, 8, 9, 10, it follows, does it not, that that becomes 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So if that's what the numbers are going to be now, let's move July and August down to there, and let's move January and February down to there. So now we've got all the same months in the same order, it's just the numbering is more appropriate, okay? That's easy. Now, Let's remove the egotistical Romans from our calendar. Let's remove Julius Caesar, remove Augustus Caesar. Let's perform a Caesarean section on our calendar. Let's remove them completely and replace them with the months they replaced, Quintillus and Sextillus, which are now in the right place, 5 and 6. That is the numbering sorted out. We've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, exactly where they should be. Now, obviously, is the time we introduce the 13th month, which, of course, will be Gormanuary. What we've got there is 13 months of exactly 28 days long. Everything ticks over perfectly. March the 1st, New Year's Day, will always be a Sunday because nobody wants to go straight back to work on New Year's Day, do they? And it will always be a Sunday because of the order in the calendar. The first of every month will always be a Sunday. Now, it might have occurred to some of you, that 13 times 28 is 364. And that means we've got a day spare. We can't force the year to only be 364 days long. The year is to do with the stars and the planets. So what we're going to do is, after Gormanuary, we're going to have an intermission. It's one day long. It's not called Sunday. It's not called Monday. It's not called anything. It isn't a day of the week. It is just intermission. It is basically an extended New Year's piss-up. You can go out on New Year's Eve. You don't have to go back until the 1st of March. Everything is fine. What happens in intermission stays in intermission. And every 4th year, we have a 2-day intermission, and we call both of those days intermission. That's all it is. That regulates everything. Everything flows in a very orderly fashion from that point on.
Hey friends, so it's my understanding that we live inside what I call the simulator. This is a virtual reality-like simulator for consciousness development, and there's 3 main things that we're here to do. Number 1, to grow and evolve our consciousness through these physical experiences. Number 2, we have to preserve and nurture this amazing, beautiful world because this is the platform for the simulator. And 3, we have to protect and evolve this physical avatar that we're in because this is the vehicle that we use to experience this simulator. So this is not the simulation theory, which posits that this is all just some sort of artificial construct. No, this is an organic, dynamic simulator for consciousness development. It's very real, but this is not base level reality. Base level reality exists outside of the simulator. But just like how a pilot uses a flight simulator to become a better pilot, our consciousness uses this physical simulator to grow and evolve its level and quality of consciousness. So this is very, very important. So we must continue to develop and evolve our consciousness. We must continue to protect and preserve and nurture this beautiful earth. And we must continue to take care of and evolve our physical avatars. Because one day you will evolve or reincarnate back in to this physical simulator, back into this beautiful planet, and back into another physical human avatar. So let's leave everything better than how we found it. That is the ultimate purpose of this simulator. Let me know what you guys think. Have a beautiful day. Peace.
Reptilians, the hidden overlords of Earth. They are not myths, they are not legends. They have ruled from the shadows since the dawn of civilization. Every empire, every war, every great collapse. It was never human history, it was their history. The Anunnaki, the Watchers, the Nephilim, the Serpent Kings, they are the same. Different names, same rulers. They never left.
The Bible warns of the seed of the serpent, Genesis 3:15.
The elite bloodlines trace back to Babylon, Egypt, Rome, the same forces in new masks. The popes, the kings, the banking dynasties, their blood is not like ours. Hidden rituals, secret marriages, and genetic purity to preserve what is inside them. The reptilian DNA look deeper. Why do royal families only marry their own? Why are the wealthiest bloodlines unknown to the public? Why do so many powerful figures have slit pupils in photographs, moments where their disguises flicker? The mask is imperfect. The black cube of Saturn is everywhere. Mecca, Wall Street, the Vatican. It appears in religious rituals, corporate logos, and secret societies. Saturn, the dark sun, the hidden god, the master of time. Time itself is the prison, and they are its wardens. CERN is built atop an ancient temple to Shiva, the destroyer. Its Hadron Collider mirrors the Ouroboros, the serpent eating its own tail. They are not smashing particles. They are searching for a way out, a way to break the seal. Tesla knew everything is energy. The pyramids, obelisks, and temples were machines designed to channel, amplify, and extract energy. When they lost control of those systems, they built new ones. Wars, disease, fear. Hollywood isn't just entertainment, it's ritual. Every global tragedy is a mass sacrifice, every war a feeding frenzy. Loosh! The purest energy extracted from suffering, terror, despair. Why do they push division, fear, and hopelessness? Because it sustains them. Look at the Vatican audience hall, the shape of a serpent's head. The Pope's throne, placed inside the mouth of the beast. The true rulers are not priests, they are gatekeepers, protecting something, worshipping something. The elite do not follow different religions. They serve the same master, hidden behind different names. The God of the Old Testament, a jealous, vengeful being who demanded sacrifice. The deities of Babylon, the same beings under new disguises. Time is the cage, the simulation is their prison. We are inside a construct. The Anunnaki, the fallen, were banished here. This is not a planet, it is a prison. They rewrote history, erased past civilizations, buried knowledge under mudfloods and resets. Atlantis, Tartaria, Lemuria wiped from memory because the truth would set us free. The Big Bang never happened, it was the last reset. The system crashed and they rewrote the code. They turned eternity into a time loop. Every war, every collapse is the same cycle, endlessly repeating, because they cannot leave. But they want out, and to escape, they need us to remain asleep. The final deception. Why do they suppress human consciousness? Why do they poison the food, the water, the air? Why is fluoride forced into our bodies? Why are ancient texts hidden? Because if we wake up, if we remember who we are, their rule ends. The veil is thinning, glitches, Mandela effects, cracks in the illusion. The system is breaking down, and before it collapses, they will make their final move. A staged invasion, a savior to unite the world under their control. One last great deception. The war isn't coming, it never ended. And we were never just humans. We are the key they fear the most.
They do not support the one world government based on greed, corruption, and professional politicians, which is what we have now. You know, their opinion is that if we were truly to form a one world government for the benefit of all people, it would be based on our Constitution and Bill of Rights. And in fact, they're trying to shred those. The UN Charter is, well, it's a corporation. And we become resources, a natural resource of that corporation. And that's all you are, is a natural resource. There's absolutely no recognition of divinity that you are. None whatsoever. You're a number.
What state what is the best state? What state to be in when all this happens?
Actually, the best place to be would be out of the United States. True. But we're going to stick it out.
Why do you say out of the United States?
Because the United States is the most corrupt nation in the world. And this is not easy for me to say this.
Right.
I love the United States. I have a 13-star flag hanging up in my wall at home. If you're in the United States, you're going to be affected by the Civil War. You're going to be affected by martial law. Martial law in the United States is not going to be in Mexico, Brazil, Argentina, or Peru, or Chile. It's going to be in the United States. Do you follow me?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. But we're going to be here. We're not going to bail. People have just had it. Sure. You know, we've had it. We've been rebels. Television has inoculated us to be warriors. You know, on an intellectual, on a mental level, there are a lot of sheep on an intellectual level in the United States. But if they were to come in and build a fence and try to imprison people inside a city, physically, blatantly, very few people would actually go for that here in the States. Very few. And the only way they can make this one world government work, is to do this. They can't keep us free. They can't allow us to be free. There's just no way. Plus, karmically, we're responsible for a lot of the stuff because we invited the Greys down here in the first place. But the Greys, their agenda is completely different. They want to enslave the world. They want to violate your free will. And that is a no-no. Now, if you give them your power, if you give it to them and say, okay, sure, fine, just make me safe. Just guarantee that I'll have a home and I can raise my kids and I'll give you all the power you want. Then you deserve what you get. And there will be some who do that. And they deserve neither freedom or anything else if you give away your rights. And that's my opinion. I don't do a good sheeple. I never have. Yes, somebody else had a hand, yes.
About a year ago, the various Border Patrol units went under a training program where they were testing and practicing with their surveillance technology from one side to the other. They spent, in a 10-day period, they spent 2 days learning how to keep aliens from coming into the United States. They spent 8 days keeping Americans from
Going into Mexico.
out. So they were learning, there was a big flap in the Border Patrol at that time. A lot of people wanted to resign. They felt that there was something sinister going on for them to even be confronted with that type of scenario.
Okay, let's talk about that. I'm going to loosen my tie. It's really hot in here. Okay, let's talk about that. Now, let's look at the idea that the United States of America is the #1 debtor country in the world. Now, the real portion of the United States, the legal portion of the United States, is only Washington, D.C., 68 square miles. Are you aware of that? That's the only true portion of the United States, 68 square miles. Now, since 1933, we started hearing the word democracy instead of republic. In school books, in magazines, this is done on purpose. There are huge differences between a democracy and a republic. In a republic, the chief rule of law is God, people, state, and then federal. Okay, this is a republic. To the republic for which it stands. Oops, that's supposed to be a page. Now, the democracy is absolutely the opposite. It's federal, state, it's people, God bless you, and then God.
Why do you think the piles on which Venice stands have not rotted for 1,500 years? Officially, it is believed that the city stands on millions of wooden piles as long as 5 meters. First of all, how did people in the 5th century manage to drive long piles deep into the ground without knowledge and special equipment? After all, according to legend, Venice was founded by the inhabitants of the province who were fleeing from the raids of the years. Secondly, why didn't the piles rot? It is believed that supposedly they were covered with mud and became very strong, but after all, in other places, they just rot. An interesting fact is that these piles are made of larch, which grows only in Siberia. Why people in the 5th century had to carry something 5,000 kilometers away? It is unlikely that they carried millions of piles on wagons 1,000 kilometers from Siberia to Italy. Don't you find that odd? Besides, the documents on how the city was built are not in the public domain at all. What if Venice was built by another civilization? Who do you think built Venice, and how?
What if everything you knew about the origins of civilization was wrong? What if the cradle of civilization wasn't where we've always been taught it was? Imagine for a moment a world where America is the true old world, the birthplace of ancient civilizations lost to time. Such a proposition challenges the very bedrock of our understanding of history. But there is a theory that proposes America as the original Egypt, the first Africa, the true old world. This theory is not without evidence, and the clues, though scattered and elusive, paint a fascinating picture. Firstly, consider the Alabaster Sphinx of Memphis, Tennessee. Discovered in 1911, this artifact bears a striking resemblance to the iconic Sphinx of Giza, thousands of miles away in modern-day Egypt. Could this be a mere coincidence, or is it evidence of a connection between the two lands, lost in the mists of time? Secondly, there's the Grand Canyon, one of the natural wonders of the world. What if it wasn't just a geological marvel, but a silent testament to a civilization long since vanished? Some argue that the canyon holds the secrets of an ancient Egypt, right here in America. Then there's the matter of the Mississippi River. This mighty waterway, some say, is the true Nile of the Old World. Its fertile plains and strategic location echo the life-giving role of the Nile in ancient Egypt? Could it be that the Mississippi was the cradle of a civilization just as grand, just as influential as that of the Nile? Utah is Judah, claims the theory. The similarities in the names are undeniable, but is there more to it than that? Could Utah have been a region of cultural and religious significance akin to Judah in the Middle East? Lastly, consider the Gulf of Baja. Some posit that this body of water is the real Red Sea. It's a bold claim, but one that brings a fresh perspective to our understanding of ancient geography. This theory, that America is the true old world, presents evidence that invites more questions than it answers. It's a tale of sphinxes and canyons, rivers and gulfs, all intertwined in a narrative that challenges our understanding of history. It suggests that the story of civilization might have unfolded not from the sands of Egypt or the plains of Mesopotamia, but from the heartlands of America. In conclusion, the theory presents America as the birthplace of ancient civilizations, the original Egypt, the first Africa. It's a theory backed by evidence, albeit unconventional, that demands a second look at our understanding of history. So the next time you gaze upon the Grand Canyon or the Mississippi River, remember, you might just be looking at the cradle of civilization.
There are many clues that show just that the Great Wall of Tartaria was to keep the Chinese out. Just look at the maps of the old world. It makes much more sense when comparing Tartaria's borders against China. But it's far from the maps that provide us the clues to this. Just look at some of the positionings, whether it's the fort and the place where the wall would actually defend against people is all on the Chinese side, except for the sections that they have opened up to tourists and worked tirelessly to rewrite history. But try as hard as they might, they have a long way to go. But many truths are still hidden in plain sight. Like this gentleman Marco Polo, who was famous for exploring the Chinese Silk Road and never talked about the Great Wall of China, ever. Strangely enough, when you go to Wikipedia here, you'll see Polo wearing a Tartar outfit print from the 18th century. Never mind that he died in 1300, but still. Interestingly, you see the little logo on the top left too. Maybe that's why he never talked about the Great Wall of China, or it was omitted. History is nothing more than a set of lies agreed upon. A set of lies they agreed upon. But if you want to start digging up the truth, you can start right at the controller's official websites and research the mud flood and fall of Tartaria. Question everything, friends. Until next time.